It is time for Roger's Cheap Old Book Club. Roger is the mummy of Michael K. Vaughan and he has a book club. And it is a cheap book club because every month he picks a book that is totally free on Project Gutenberg because it is in the public domain. Well, this month, the month of September, he chose the Exploits of Brigadier Gerard. I chose to read the 1896 edition, which has 8 stories in it. There are other editions published, but this was the one I read. And there are, I think, 17 stories published in total, but I read 8 of them in this book. So, these stories were written by Arthur Conan Doyle. You obviously have heard of him because you must know the Sherlock Holmes stories. He wrote these Exploits of Brigadier Gerard, who is a soldier in Napoleon's army, because he wanted to show people that he could write something else as detective fiction. And he did a decent job at it as well. Sometimes the stories are a little bit predictable and the stories are a little bit slow paced, but at the end of the 19th century, life was slower than now. So take the time and the first 2 stories, how the Brigadier came to the Castle of Gloom and how the Brigadier slayed the brothers of Ajaccio, are a bit predictable. They were the lesser ones, but other stories were quite entertaining and original as well. So, you must know that our Brigadier Gerard is not the brightest bulb in the pack. There are some damsels in distress in this book and our Brigadier is always very gallant about it. So much so that when he is consoling a sobbing woman, she steals some important papers from him. So, not very smart of him, but who can resist a beautiful sobbing woman? So, not our Brigadier anyway. In another story, Napoleon chooses him for a mission because he's not the brightest bulb in the pack. He just doesn't think, he just follows orders. And that is what you want in a soldier, especially when you are in the service of Napoleon's army. Goodreads says there is some humor in this book, and I read that Arthur Conan Doyle wants to poke fun at the heroes in historical novels. Personally, I didn't get the humor in it. Our Brigadier is, like Sherlock Holmes, very arrogant. So much so that he thinks he is the best looking soldier and the smartest and bravest soldier in Napoleon's army. Sometimes I find this a little bit annoying, but and I didn't see the humor in it, but some plots are quite intriguing, so I enjoyed that. Some people go into depth analyzing the text of this book. Personally, I think as these stories were published in magazines and the characters aren't that well developed, well, They didn't have space in magazines for well-developed characters. These were short stories, so adventure was the main goal of writing these stories. So I think these stories are just mass entertainment at the time that became classic over time. So, do I think it is worth a read? Most definitely. Some stories are better than others, but hey, it is free, and just go to Project Gutenberg and download a copy of this book or some other editions of this book. And well, if you like, read a couple of stories. If you like more, read all 17 stories that were published. So I think some stories are definitely worth a read. So hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.